Hey everybody, it's Greg again. It's another edition of Unbreakable the podcast. It is Monday. Is it Monday? Is it Monday? I guess that's what the calendar says. December the 30th. 2 more days left of the year. Yeah, these holidays have me really discombobulated. Is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? Is it the weekend? I don't know. The days are running together. Now it's like, what day is it? Do you feel that way? I do. But we have a big show today. There's a lot to talk about today. So let's get at it. Before we do, here he is, the patron saint of this fine podcast, Bud himself. Now, we took this shot. This was around Christmas time, a few years ago. You could see Bud's beautiful red and green bow tie on there. What a handsome looking man he was. And he is the patron saint of this fine podcast. We love you and miss you, Bud. But there you go. All right. So we're going to talk about Jimmy Carter. We're going to talk about the Eagles, of course, and their big victory, kicking Cowboys' butts. But before we do, a couple of things. Today is National Bacon Day. Not Kevin Bacon, bacon. Oh, you can't ask for any more than it, right? Bacon, National Bacon Day. You gotta have bacon. So if you have your regular bacon this morning with your eggs or your breakfast or whatever, that's good. But the cool thing about bacon is not only does it taste good, you can have it with anything. You could put it on sandwiches, BLTs, right? The B is bacon. You can have it on the side. You can sprinkle it on sandwich. You can do anything with bacon. You can wrap it around stuff like a wiener. Did you ever have these sliders, like these little hot dogs? And you wrap the bacon around it there. You squirt a little mustard on it. It's heaven. Heaven on bacon. It's bacon day. You've got to have it. Bacon day. Okay. Birthdays. Two athletes today. LeBron James, 40 years old today. 40. Still a young man. What do you think LeBron James has been about forever? And in basketball, in pro athlete, 40 years old. Well, we should be having him up, but happy birthday, LeBron James. And 48 today is another great athlete, Tiger Woods, the Tiger. Now, to me, that is even harder because Tiger Woods has been around for. Why? Because we remember Tiger Woods. Remember when Tiger Woods was this little kid? He was at 3 years old, 2 years old, and he was on the Mike Douglas show. Remember Mike Douglas? And he was in golfing even then. And so he's been around in our lives, all of our lives. Think about it. And he isn't even 50 years old yet. It's amazing. So, but as a golfer, he's had so many injuries. His, as a professional golfer, he's not what he used to be, but he can join the senior tour and he will probably kick some senior butt there. So, happy birthday, Tiger Woods. And so, before we talk Eagles, which is going to be a great thing to talk about today, I got to say a few words about my man, Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter, the 39th president of these United States of America. What a great man. Now, see, I remember Jimmy Carter when he was president. I remember when he was running for president. Nobody knew who the hell he was. And I remember he would come on and say, my name's Jimmy Carter. And he would always introduce himself because nobody knew who he was. I read about, you read a lot about Jimmy Carter now after he died. I read about that in one of his first rallies after he announced for president. Only 3 people showed up. 3 people. It's amazing. Think about this success story. He was a peanut farmer. He was in the Navy. He's a big guy in the Navy too. I mean, very intelligent man. He was on nuclear submarines. He was, I tell you, and to think that he rose all the way to become a president from a little town called Plains, Georgia. But you know what? Uh, Coming off of the Nixon Watergate, and then Gerald Ford, was kind of disappointing because he was just there and he was bumbling and falling all over the place, and then he pardoned Nixon, and most people didn't like that. Well, Jimmy Carter was sort of this breath of fresh air. He had that great smile, that great hair, and he would, it was sort of a change. And Jimmy Carter was like this hero, this guy who just came out of the blue, you know, and 1976, 77, right after our bicentennial year. And it was like turning the page. It was like letting go the past, Watergate, the Vietnam War, all that, and looking to the future. So Jimmy Carter was a bright light back then. He wasn't a very good president. Why? Because there was a lot going on. Times were different back then. Gas prices, if gas prices spiked to $1 a gallon, that was, whoa, that's too much. Nowadays we would sneeze at $1 a gallon. $1 a gallon, we would love that. Back in those days, in the mid-70s, that was a lot of money. And then you had the thing that really did inflation was bad. The thing that really did Jimmy Carter in was the Iran hostage thing. And do you know how that started? Well, because Jimmy Carter has always been this compassionate guy, yes, he was only human. And people said he could be very terse and very sanctimonious. And, when he was stubborn and bad, he could be stubborn and bad. But for the most part, he was a very compassionate guy. And what his compassion led to the Iran hostage crisis. Why? Because the Shah of Iran back in those days had cancer and needed treatment. And the best kind of treatment back in the mid-70s was here in the United States. So Jimmy Carter allowed the Shah of Iran to come into the United States to get treatment. Well, that didn't go over very well in Iran, because there were warring factions back then. And I remember the Ayatollah Khomeini, well, he took over. And he decided that's not good. What America left the Shah of Iran in to get cancer treatments? How dare they? And what he did was that he did the hostage thing. And that was on TV every night. Nightline. Nightline is still on now. That's how Nightline came to be. Because every night, the late news, ABC, would have like a little half an hour special on the Iran hostage crisis, day 28, day 32, day 178, And that's how Nightline became a regular program. Ted Koppel. Remember Ted Koppel with the hair and everything? So, unfortunately, that's, Jimmy Carter only got one term because Ronald Reagan came in and he was like, I'll show these guys. We were, I don't know if you remember, if you were living back in that time, we were scared as hell because even though Reagan overwhelmingly won the election in 1980, he came in with this big macho kind of attitude, like, we're going to nuke these guys in the face of you if they don't give our hostages back. And he meant business. And a lot of people really, really felt back in the day that there was going to be a nuclear war. Russia, that wasn't good either back then. So Reagan, he really did call her bluff there, because the inauguration day, the day that Reagan was sworn in, Iran released the hostages. Well, that was sort of a slap in the face to Jimmy Carter. It's like, ha ha ha, we could have released the hostages anytime we wanted to. Well, we waited until you were out of office and Mr. Reagan was in office. So we don't get nuked. So that's what happened. But you know what? Jimmy Carter proved to be the best ex-president ever. Because think about it. For about 40 years, what he did was, number one, he wrote 30 books. 30 books. 30 books. And he worked for Habitat for Humanity. He went around and built houses for them. And he really worked. He got in there and he built the houses along with the construction. You know, I mean, he traveled all around the world. He tried to eradicate all kinds of diseases, including one called guinea worm. Guinea worm. Guinea worm was something that infected people in Africa, kids in Africa. It was a very painful thing, disease. And at one point, there were 3.5 million cases of guinea worm in the world, primarily in Africa. As of last week, there were only 14 cases. So that's a big drop off. So, you know, Jimmy Carter in his day practically erased that condition. And he went around the world making sure that elections were fair. And of course, he did elections. But he didn't sit on his ass after he retired as president. He didn't just accept big payday speeches, $1 million speech here and there. He actually did something. So for that, I think we'll always remember Jimmy Carter. Not many of us will remember his presidency, not that we want to, but I think we all will remember Jimmy Carter for the humanitarian that he was. So rest in peace, Jimmy Carter, Godspeed. And you know what I remember too? Two quick things. Jimmy Carter had a hell of a family. It was like the Beverly Hillbillies invaded the White House, you know? Like Jimmy brought along his brother Billy Carter, and had a reputation for drinking all the time, his alcoholic brother. In fact, there was a beer back in the late 70s called Billy Beer. Billy Beer. I wonder if you remember whether if you ever drank it. And then Jimmy's mother was called Lillian Carter. She was this old sage, you know, in the White House. She would give advice to everybody. Of course, Jimmy's wife, Rosalind Carter. He had one child, a daughter named Amy Carter. It's going to be interesting as the funeral. I think the funeral is set for January 1. It's going to be interesting because who will be involved? Will Trump go? Will he be invited? I know Carter did not like Trump. He, in fact, he said he was on hospice for about 2 years. That in itself is revolting, my friends, because I've worked with hospice people in the nursing home. And usually doctors will put you on hospice if they feel you're going to die within the next couple months. And here, Jimmy Carter was in hospice for 2 years. So that shows you how resilient this guy was. And he fought cancer for close to 10 years. And he had great faith. He still taught Sunday school up until a few years ago down in Plains, Georgia. I mean, you could just drive down the plains and look for the church where Jimmy Carter was. He was the 39th president of the United States, teaching Sunday school every Sunday. You can go in and meet him and talk to him, you know. It's just like a regular guy, you know? But he was determined to stay alive at the end of his life so that he could vote for Kamala Harris. Yeah, because he believed in the ideals and democracy. That's what he worked for. So it's going to be interesting to see who's chiseled the few hours and values. The other thing I remember is, do you remember the great Dan Aykroyd on Saturday Night Live? Uh, he did a great impersonation of Jimmy Carter. I mean, he had the hair down, he had the smile, and my name's Jimmy Carter. Yeah, that comes sort of thing. If you Google that or look it up on YouTube, of course, you'll be able to find Dan Aykroyd like Jimmy Carter in a lot of skits. A lot of skits back then during Carter's reign. So rest in peace, Jimmy Carter. All right. Let's talk about the Eagles. Well, first of all, that was a major butt kicking yesterday of the Cowboys, wasn't it? That was the type of thing you take somebody behind the woodshed and whoop their ass. That the Cowboys deserved it because they were starting to get a little too cocky there. Of course, the Cowboys aren't going to make the playoffs. They stink. Dallas sucks. But they had won 4 out of 5. And they were talking about giving Mike McCarthy, that clueless, dopey head coach, an extension on his contract. I hope they do, because he is a terrible head coach. So Dallas rolls into Philly, right? And the Eagles, even without Jalen Hurts, kicked their butts. And it was good to see. I mean, Devontae Smith, 2 touchdowns. Last week he dropped that big pass. This week, no. You knew Devontae Smith was going to have a good game to make up for that. A.J. Brown had a touchdown. And of course, what can we say about Saquon Barkley? 167 yards, I believe, on the ground. What a player. What a year, huh? Now, the big thing all week long, especially on Sports Talk Radio, will be, should Saquon Barkley play next Sunday? He is 101 yards away from breaking the single season record of rushing yards held by Eric Dickerson back in 1984. We're talking 40 years ago. So this isn't a record that comes along every freaking day. Number one, Saquon Barkley passed the 2,000 yard, which is cool in itself. He is the 9th running back in the history of pro football over 2,000 yards. That's great. But you've got this record, which is in reach. And they happen to be playing, the Eagles happen to be playing the New York Giants. It's Sunday at 1 o'clock at the time. This is a record that Barkley could conceivably get in the first half, and maybe the first quarter. Taking into account the Giants' defense. Will the Eagles allow him the chance to play? Some people are saying, no, don't play, rest him for a week, because you're going to need him the following week when the Eagles are in the playoffs. I could see that point of view. You don't want Barkley getting hurt. You want Barkley to rest him a week. I can see that. But I can also see the other end of the solid point, when this is a very rare record. It doesn't come along every day. And they may mean a lot to say about Barkley. I think instead of me deciding, or the media deciding, or even the fans deciding, or even the coach deciding, Saquon Barkley should be the one to decide. Ask him. Ask Saquon. Say, Saquon, do you want to play next week? Yes or no? And go by that. He may say, nah, I'd rather have the week off. Let Eric Dickerson have his little record, the baby, let him have it. I'd rather rest that. Yeah, or he might say, yeah, I want this ring. Yes, getting to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl is the number one goal, objective. But it would be nice to have a record. And I don't want to get rusty. I'm like, let's play me the first half. If I can get to 101 yards in the first half, cool, I'll get the record. And then I'll stick this in there. I think you have to give Saquon that respect. You have to ask for his opinion. If he wants to play, let him play. If he doesn't want to play, sit him down, okay? And for anybody to say, all these smart media people in Philadelphia, or the fans, or even Nick Sirianni, for anybody to say, no, he's got to sit down because he made that, but God forbid, no, ask Saquon what he wants to do. It's very simple. You give him the respect he deserves. If you tell him no, what if he wants to break the thing? Give him that option to make up his mind by himself. It's very simple. But of course, you're going to hear this all. They're going to stir the controversy because sports radio needs something to talk about, right? The papers need something to write about. The social media needs something to talk about. So that's going to be the big thing this week here in Philadelphia. The game is meaningless. The Eagles are locked into the number 2 seed. They can't go up. They can't go down. So it's meaningless. It means nothing. Actually means more to the Giants because the Giants screwed up yesterday. They could have tanked and lost 2 games, and they would have been assured of the number 1 pick in the draft next spring. And they would have had their choice of any quarterback that they wanted. No, the Giants won yesterday over the hapless Indianapolis Colts, which means that the Giants are now down to picking number 4, which means that they're still going to get a reliable player, but they may not get the quarterback that they wanted unless they trade back up. If the Giants happen to beat the Eagles next Sunday, they're going to be even lower down. They may fall down to 6 or 8. So the Giants are already screwing themselves to the future. I mean, yesterday was a nice win for the Giants in their first home win this year, which is pathetic. But when you think of the future, they didn't do themselves any good, the Giants yesterday. But that's the Giants. They always find a way screwing up. So I would just say ask Barkley to do. Otherwise, the Eagles are locked into the 2 seed now. From what I understand, the Eagles can either play Washington, who won yesterday, or Green Bay. It depends how this week is going to shake out. To me, I'd rather play Washington because you're familiar with Washington. You played them twice this year. You split with them. You just played them a few weeks ago, and Washington came back and won that game. I think playing Washington again at the link, the Eagles will definitely have the advantage. I think Washington's a good team, but not a great team. I think the Eagles will be able to contain Jaden Daniels and that Washington team. So I fear Green Bay because Jordan Love, Jacobs, they have playmakers, and a good defense. And even though Green Bay lost yesterday to Minnesota, I would say that I fear Green Bay. So let's see how it shakes out. Eagles, Washington, first round of the playoffs would be a hell of a game. This whole thing, the NFL, very interesting, and everything is shaking down. Next week, the Titanic game, Minnesota Vikings at Detroit Lions. If the Lions win tonight over the 49ers, which I expect them to do, and go 14-2, it's the first time ever you had 2 teams who are 14-2 playing each other. And not only will they be playing for the NFC North Division crown, they'll be playing for the number 1 seed, which means home field advantage to the playoffs which also means a bye the first week of the playoffs. So it's a big deal because the loser drops down to number 5. The loser would have to play the number 4 seed, which it looks like it may be Tampa Bay right now. Okay, go to Tampa. You'd have to play on the road, which to a team like Minnesota and Detroit, 2 teams that play indoors, that could be a big deal playing outdoors because you don't know what the weather's going to be down with Tampa Bay. It could be raining. You just don't know. So it is a big deal. That's going to be a Titanic game. So I think they would probably put that on Sunday Night Football, the very last regular season game of the entire season. Ricky. Otherwise, the playoff the players are pretty much set. We pretty much know who's going to be in the playoffs, who's not going to be in the playoffs, and who's going to be playing each other. Well, some of the seeds need to work themselves out, such as the Eagles. So, very interesting. I look at it this way. The AFC has 3 power teams. Baltimore, Kansas City, who through all their trials and tribulations. Anybody say, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes is playing. He's not what he used to be." Guess what? The Chiefs are 15-1. Well, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Buffalo are the 3 power teams. Now, you might get another team sneaking in there. I was going to say San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers. But you can pretty much put your money on one of those 3 teams. Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, making it to the Super Bowl from the NFC. The NFC is much deeper. I mean, think about it. The Lions, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Packers, Washington, Tampa Bay, nothing to sneeze at. So you've got the LA Rams have won the West. How about those Rams coming back? Everybody was talking about Arizona, Seattle winning the West. The 49ers checked, And again, there's that old fallacy there, that old law. The loser of the Super Bowl has a bad year next year. That's true. It's because it's Super Bowl, you're coming down off the Super Bowl, you're very depressed because you didn't win it, and now you have to start over again. Well, guess what? The 49ers are not only not getting back to the Super Bowl, they're not even getting into the freaking playoffs. The 49ers. So the LA Rams, credit to them. And I fear the Rams because the Rams have a lot of experience. They already won a Super Bowl a few years ago. They know what it takes to win in the playoffs. So the NFC, very deep. Very deep. And the Eagles have a great team. But it's like walking through a minefield. The good thing is the Eagles are going to be home throughout the playoffs, other than if they have to play the number 1 seed, be it the Lions or the Vikings. And that will be determined next week. So, I mean, it was just nice. It was a beautiful day yesterday here near Philadelphia. Mild, like 63 degrees. The rain stopped. It was just a great day to see history, to see someone Barkley run like crazy. And it's big Cowboys. And it's the first time the Eagles swept the Cowboys since 2011. So it was a good day. And they said Jerry Jones had a packing, and you can't ask for anything more than that, right? So there you go. Big game tonight. Lions at the 49ers. Either way, even if the Lions lose tonight, The big game is next week, Lions Vikings, to determine the number one seed and the winner of the episode. But I think the Lions are going to win that because it's payback time. They have revenge. The 49ers knocked them out in the playoffs last year, if you remember, in the NFC Championship game. Lions kick butt to them. Lions go in, take apart the 49ers, who they're not what they used to be. Anyway, Lions kick butt to them. Maybe 42-14 or something stupid. So anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching the show. Rest in peace to Rick Carter. Everybody have a nice day. Peace and love. Hey, I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're definitely going to do the movie classic of the week. And I think I have a good movie that we were talking about tomorrow. Along with the other stuff that we usually talk about too. So everybody have a great day. And you know what? Have some bacon today. Treat yourself. Maybe you're not allowed to have bacon, okay? But say to the doctor, hey, doc, I gotta have some enjoyment in my life. You know, it's National Bacon Day. I'm gonna have a slice of bacon today, yeah? Maybe one, maybe two, okay, maybe two. Well, maybe three, maybe four. And I gotta tell you something real quick here. My brother-in-law, Chuck, who I miss a great deal. Chuck. What a lover of bacon that guy was. Connoisseur of bacon. I saw him at one time eat 34 strips of bacon at one sitting. 34 strips of bacon. Could you do that? I don't know if I could do that. I love bacon like the next guy. 34 strips? Honest to God, I saw it with my other two eyes, my other two bad ones. Now they look good. So, enjoy your bacon today. And I will see you tomorrow. Everybody, peace and love. Take care of yourselves. And go Birds. And if you know what, if you hear all this crap all week long, should Saquon play, should Saquon not play, all you're going to hear it all week long because they have to have something to talk about. Leave it up to Saquon. If he wants to play, let him play. If he doesn't want to play, he sits. It's not rocket science, okay? Okay, take care. See you tomorrow.